The most common question that I always get asked is how on earth this whole thing came about. For me, it's really obvious, but actually for everyone looking into the company, it's not. After I left university, I'd spent years and years in product design, speaking to designers about sustainable materials, how to make the world a better place, all that. And so when I left, the first thing I was thinking about was what materials can I salvage, or rather than buying something off the shelf, how can I repurpose something or have a less of an impact? And the first place that I landed, the first area that I was discovering was my family farm back in Somerset. And at the farm, there's scrap polythene, old sandbags. My dad had a bit of old tarpaulin, grubby bit of tarpaulin, covering some hay bales in a field. And I just took a slice of this as part of the experiment and showed a couple of friends, my family, etc. I couldn't sew, I just stapled it together. And they thought it was really cool because the typography down the side and the fact that it was waterproof was a really interesting element. And that was really the sort of launch pad or springboard to sort of find or try and reuse that material. One of the most important things for me going forward is actually being able to offer really good value for money. And one of the ways I feel that we can do that is by selling direct to the customer. So we sell products on our website only. We used to offer products in shops, through retailers, etc. And while that was great because we could reach more people, what I found was it actually forced the margin up and people had to pay more for the product because we just had to accommodate those middlemen. And by getting rid of them, we're actually able to reduce our margin, but actually offer a really good product at the end of it. A lot of our products we sell around the world. People can buy straight online and have it delivered to them within a week or so. There's actually 3 factories involved with the manufacturing of all of our bags, and they're based in certain locations around the country. And the good thing working with haulage companies is that transport is everywhere. So we can move materials from a waste site, so somewhere where they've got waste tarpaulin, down to one of our factories, and when it goes down to the first factory where they recycle it and wash the fabrics and reuse all the bits we can't use, it then goes to the next factory, and that process basically happens automatically. And working with really good suppliers, it kind of allows me to focus on the creative parts of it, how can you improve the products, rather than thinking about the nitty-gritty bits of kind of, oh, make sure get product A to B and vice versa, and make sure that they team up nice and neatly and get there on time. And I guess that plays back to the whole idea of making stuff in the UK. It's actually from a manufacturing point of view and sustainable point of view, they talk to each other. There's no gaps. They kind of just sync very, very nicely. And actually, I think that's really key for future growth and how we're going to be able to recycle more waste plastic and actually expand on that. One of the things I've become really interested in over the last 6 years is how do we recycle our waste? So we are recycling a waste product, which is old lorry tarpaulins and car seat belts, into a bag. But even we have waste. How can we deal with that and what do we do with it? In the beginning, I wasn't focused on it, but obviously as the volume goes up, it becomes a potential problem. The bits of lorry tarpaulin that we can't use, so we use about 80% of each truck tarpaulin, but the bits we can't use are either peppered in holes, cut to pieces, or patched up and we can't manufacture into a bag. We've been building it up and wondering what to do with it, but then we found a company that actually reuses that material and pelletizes it into like a smaller form and turns it into a traffic cone. And as soon as I found out about this company, I fell in love with it because I love the idea of a fabric that comes from the side of a truck, either into a bag or then into a traffic cone, which then goes beside the road that the lorry then drives past. So that whole cycle and little story that the material goes on, and that product life cycle, I really enjoy, and I want to try and do more of that as we go on. Over the last 6 years, we've done a series of pop-up stores. One of the reasons we did that was to try and engage with customers on a ground level, ask them questions face to face and see how they interacted with our bags. I assumed first up that they were going to ask questions like, does it fit a laptop? Does it do this or does it do that? Ask very functional questions. But what became really apparent and intriguing was people were asking questions like, I really like the style of this one, or does it come in any colors? Asking aesthetical questions. And watching people gravitate towards a specific bag, and even they couldn't answer the question why they liked it, was a really interesting process. And over the years, seeing people just naturally drawn to a specific product has been a really interesting process because they are emotionally connected with the bag. And understanding why that happens is a really interesting process, and I think going forward, I want to do more of that.